Resident Canada geese. These are one of the races of Canada geese, of which we have maybe a dozen, probably 13. And they're called residents because they don't move. They sometimes are used to referred to as greater Canada geese because they are larger than the normal migratory ones. The reason they don't migrate is I guess they never really learned how to. They've been, I guess, released artificially many years ago. They were kept as live decoys and as pets. Due to their large size, they could be seen from far away. And they were the sitting ducks. They were the stool pigeons. They were the decoys, live decoys that were used by hunters to bring in game. When that became illegal, many of them released their pets. You no longer were allowed to have them, and so many people, many hunters just released them along with people. And so now we have these populations of geese that don't migrate. They feed on grains and stuff. You can see how they love to open fields, and so they're right now feeding heavily on grass. And because they can poop just about every 20 minutes, they can be a huge issue. They can cause all sorts of mess, especially in suburban areas, and can destroy the turf and things like that in lots of other areas. People feed them sometimes. It aggravates the situation. But again, Canada geese, resident geese, have become an issue in many different places. They destroy the subaquatic vegetation, which other birds need. And unlike the migratory geese, they don't leave, and so they do it year-round, not letting the vegetation recover. And that, of course, can be a huge issue. Efforts are underway to try to control these, things, and that additionally has to do with both some extended seasons we're allowed to. Unfortunately, in the most urban places, you're not to hunt them with huge bag limits and very wide, generous seasons. But also addling or taking eggs and covering them in oil or shaking them. Because if you just take the eggs when they lay them, they will just renest. So you shake the egg, destroy it so that they have nothing to lay again, and you trick them into wasting their time trying to nest, or I should say incubate the eggs that aren't any good anymore. And that's a way to at least maintain the numbers, but it certainly doesn't control the numbers. Other people use stuff like border collies to chase them, but if you think about it, all that does, if there is an overpopulation of resident geese, is just move the problem to somebody else's property who maybe cannot afford to pay to get these scare tactics involved. And then there's netting, of course, to try to keep certain areas safe, so that they can come in there and eat other vegetation. But again, think about that. Do you want everything fenced off? It can be an issue. So resident Canada geese are becoming a big issue because of pollution, the big messes that they make, because of the damage they cause, and because they do destroy the habitat. They're very successful in nesting because they both, male and female, the gander and the goose will try to raise the young, and they're very good at defending them. These large birds are aggressive in their defense. And again, that's led to some good successes for them in raising their goslings, their baby geese. But that's not a good thing, of course, when we have so many of these geese now present. So again, resident Canada geese can become a huge issue, and have been in many urban areas. And they are now established in most of our parks, and especially in very urban parks where there's no natural controls over them. And they can be quite an issue due to pollution and the damage they cause to the habitat itself, especially the subaquatic vegetation, SAVs, which other animals then, of course, need to feed on. And part of it has to do with their non-migratory nature. That Fly Away Home movie actually took place in Airlie, Virginia, and the experiments and stuff were done to try to teach swans how to migrate. But they did use Canada geese, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, to try to teach them migratory rights, which they can learn. But of course now ours have never learned them, and so they're just residents and cause a huge issue. Resident Canada geese here in a northern Virginia lake. As you can see, very close to human settings. They don't care, and spread out all the way onto land, and there's quite a few in the water as well. Resident Canada geese, a staple of many residencies now.